My adherent accepted, she cheated. I bear a absolute man. She smirked, my company took her ancillary, I aloof. Smiled, took my keys and larboard this morning. My buzz blew up with 32 absent calls, attractive aback I should accept, apparent it advancing. The signs were there broadcast like breadcrumbs through the aftermost few months of our accord, but aback you've been with addition for 3 years, you tend to accord them the anniversary of the agnosticism at atomic. That's what I kept cogent myself. It started with baby things. Allison began alive, backward, added generally, which wasn't abnormal during active seasons, but afresh came the new aroma. I didn't admit clothes I'd never apparent afore actualization in our closet, and her buzz aback. Acceptable this angelic article that was never added, than an accoutrements breadth abroad. I'm not the anxious blazon, never accept been but article acquainted off the way she'd cull abroad. Aback I approved to hug her from abaft while she was texting. How she'd footfall out to booty calls claiming they were assignment rated the affiliated girls' nights with bodies whose names I'd never heard afore. After most Tuesday, I was folding laundry aback her buzz lit up on the coffee table, a bulletin examination. From addition, alleged J popped up absence, you already. Aftermost night was the draft was cut off but my abdomen alone. I didn't appetite to be that guy who snoops through his girlfriend's buzz, but the cosmos seemed to be agreeable at me to death watch. Up aback, she got home that night. I absentively to be absolute. She was in the kitchen, authoritative herself. A smoothie, like annihilation, was amiss the complete of the blender, abounding our accommodation as I leaned, adjoined the aperture anatomy, watching. Her who's J? I asked aback, she assuredly affronted it. Off the change in her aspect was burning her amateur tensed but afresh she did article. I wasn't assured, she smiled. Not her accepted, balmy smile, but article algid, and about, boastful, apprehensive. Aback, you'd assuredly bolt on Michael. She said, demography. A sip from her bottle. J's, my bang-up. And yes, I've been sleeping with him for the accomplished 2 months. The casual, way she said it, acquainted like a bang. No answerability, no abashment. Aloof. Pride. I bear a absolute man. She affiliated smirking addition, who knows what he wants and goes for it. Not addition who spends his weekends arena video amateur with Jacob and watching brainless movies. I stood there, processing her words, 3 years calm. And this was how she absolutely saw me through the shock I acquainted article abroad. Rising, not acrimony, but a aberrant faculty of accuracy. Does Chloe apperceive, I asked, cerebration of our alternate acquaintance who'd alien us? Oh, she's. Accepted for weeks, Allison laughed. Best of our company apperceive, they accept. Jay can absolutely accommodate a approaching not aloof dreams and excuses that hit harder than the cheating acceptance these bodies we'd aggregate birthdays holidays. And endless dinners with they'd all been watching in this appear allegedly bedlam abaft. My aback, I pulled out my buzz and opened my accumulation babble with Jacob and Chloe. Is this accurate? You all knew Jacob's acknowledgement came bound. Bro, you're abundant. But Allison deserves addition. Added, accustomed, don't booty it alone. Chloe chimed in. We didn't appetite to aching you, but maybe this is the wake-up alarm you charge. I looked up from my buzz to acquisition Allison watching me, that aforementioned. Beam still arena on her aperture she was cat and mouse for the access. The ball, the arena, she could acquaint anybody about afterwards. Poor adolescent Michael accident, his air-conditioned. Instead, I smiled a absolute 18-carat smile that seemed to bolt her off bouncer afterwards. A babble I absolved to our bedchamber pulled out my go-bag, consistently kept one arranged for weekend trips, effective my laptop and my keys. Aback, I anesthetized through the kitchen afresh. Allison was staring her. Beam aged hardly area. Are you activity? She accepted out, I replied artlessly, and Allison, accumulate the accommodation, I'm abiding. Jay can advice with the hire. I heard her alpha to say article as I bankrupt the aperture abaft me, but I didn't stop. To accept my buzz was already active with letters allegedly from our alleged company, aggravating to explain themselves. As I collection abroad, I affronted my buzz off and acquainted article. I didn't apprehend, abatement, sometimes, accident, aggregate. Shows you absolutely what you never had in the aboriginal abode. I had no abstraction area, I was activity, but for the aboriginal time in months, I acquainted like I was branch in the appropriate administration amend, aboriginal acknowledgement, for all the abutment on my aftermost column never accepted it to draft up like that. A lot has happened in the accomplished anniversary, and candidly, I'm still processing aggregate. I've been blockage at this baby cabin on the outskirts of Boondocks. Not the best alluring abode, but it's apple pie and the buyer, an earlier guy, who alien. Himself as Pete seems appropriate. He'll like a gape, $20 off the anniversary amount. Aback he heard my adventure, affronted my buzz, aback on afterwards. 2 canicule of silence, 32. Absence calls, 47 argument letters, best from Allison, some from Jacob and Chloe, and a few from numbers I didn't admit, but what absolutely bent my absorption was the notification. Storm from Amusing Media, Allison had been active. Absolutely active. Her Instagram adventure corrective, a anniversary too, accustomed, allegedly. I was a authoritative, anxious admirer who monitored her every move. According to her posts, I emotionally manipulated her for years, abandoned her from a company, and through a agitated anger aback she assuredly stood up for herself, anniversary column. Had hundreds of affectionate comments including ones from bodies I anticipation were my company, the crown jewel, a bawling video area she claimed I had financially abused her by authoritative, her breach, all our bills, 50/50ths, while I aggregate. My money. Rich because she becoming added than me, and insisted on that arrangement herself afresh came the argument from Gemma. A accessory I've accepted for years. Hey, you ability, appetite to analysis your email, something's activity about the appointment. About you abiding abundant. There was a company-wide email about creating a safe abode ambiance with a agilely buried advertence to contempo apropos behaviors from assertive advisors. No names mentioned, but the timing wasn't attenuate. I should accept. Been affronted. Maybe I should accept. Fought, aback, acquaint my ancillary. Of the adventure instead, I aloof. Acquainted analytical, how far would she booty this appealing? Fair as it turns out bygone, I chock-full by our bounded coffee boutique, the one. Abode I ample would be safe. Aback, Allison hated their coffee. Amiss the barista who consistently been affable gave me this attending, like I was article ashore to her shoe. Afterwards begin out, Allison had become a approved their administration. Her survival adventure with anyone who'd accept. But here's area. It gets absorbing. While acrimonious up some clothes from storage, I ran into Juliana Allison's declared best acquaintance. She looked abashed, casual about, like she was abashed of actuality. Apparent talking to me, you charge to be accurate. She aside, Jay isn't aloof. Her bang-up. His wife, she's affiliated. Like, absolutely affiliated. And Allison's been cogent. Her, you're ambiguous. Alarming alike. Why are you cogent? Me, this. Juliana's eyes. Darted about afresh because this isn't the aboriginal time. Afore, there was addition. Guy, at assignment, Allison, and Jay. They did the aforementioned affair to him. He concluded up abrogation. Boondocks, that babble. Afflicted, aggregate. I spent the night digging acknowledged annal amusing, media annihilation. I could acquisition turns out the antecedent guy existed. Mark article abolished absolutely. From amusing media, about the time Allison started at the aggregation this morning, I got alarm from our freeholder Allison approved to abolish my name from the charter claiming I'd carelessness the acreage aback that did an assignment she told him I'd been aggressive. Her, he alleged, to acquaint me, affronted out. His sister went through. Article agnate years ago, But here's the absolute article. While all this was accident, I got a bulletin appeal on Instagram from an anniversary. I didn't admit the contour anniversary was of a woman in her 40s, affected cutting big-ticket adornment. The bulletin was simple. I accept we charge to allocution about my bedmate and your adherent coffee tomorrow. It was active. Mrs. J. I'm affair her in an hour. Article tells me Allison's absolute man adventure is about to get a lot added complicated. The funny affair is watching Allison circuit this busy web of lies, seeing our company accept abandon based on annihilation. But her babble, it's absolutely liberating. Every awful column, every affected breach, every manipulated adventure aloof, confirms what I already knew. I'm not accident annihilation account befitting. Amend 2. Apologetic for the delayed. Amend these accomplished 2 weeks, except been WI that coffee affair with Mrs. J game changer. Turns out she's been gathering affirmation. For months, not aloof about Allison and her bedmate, but about an accomplished arrangement of behavior at the aggregation. Bethink how Juliana mentioned the guy who larboard boondocks. He wasn't the aboriginal. Mrs. J had accurate at atomic 3. Agnate situations over the accomplished 5 years adolescent advisors, accepting complex with her bedmate, a fresh allowance to advance out anyone who ability betrayal them. The aberration, this time. Mrs. J was done. Arena quiet. She had texts, emails, amount letters alike, Aegis footage from the aggregation parking barn. But she, Capital 1 final allotment, accessible acknowledgement. That's area the anniversary aggregation affair came in. I wasn't planning to appear, why would I? But Mrs. J had added a count. Sometimes she told me the best animus is aloof absolution. Body's appearance their accurate colors. The affair was at this adorned auberge city, I accustomed backward dressed bigger than I any time had for these things, the looks aback I absolved in Priceless Allison about. Alone, her alcohol. Jay's face went from red to white so fast I anticipation he ability canyon out, but here's the admirable allotment I didn't accept to do. Annihilation, Chloe approached, aboriginal, acutely, tipsy, you've got some assumption. Assuming up actuality, she slurred loud. Abundant for adjacent groups to apprehend afterwards. Aggregate you put Allison through. I, aloof, smiled. Aggregate I put her through. That's absorbing. Acquaint me. Added, that's aback. Gemma stepped in. Bethink her. My aide turns out she'd been agilely. Accession, her own affirmation screenshots of Allison aloof about her conquest and aggregation babble groups, recordings of her planning how to circuit the adventure with Jay. Absolutely, Gemma, appear. I anticipate we'd all like to apprehend the absolute adventure. The abutting hour was like watching Domino's abatement. Mrs. J timing her access altogether, book in Duke the projector that accidentally started Arena. A slideshow of incriminating letters and photos. Allison's added atrocious attempts to advance ascendancy of her anecdotal, but the absolute appearance came from Jacob, acceptable old bros a 4 hoes, except aback the hoe ability. Advance my career, Jacob, he'd been filming aggregate on his buzz planning to appearance it to Jay afterwards. Prove his adherence or article. Instead, he managed to abduction Allison's complete accident. You anticipate. You're so able. She screamed at me. You and that absinthian old woman aggravating to ruin. Aggregate. I've congenital. Jay loves me. We're activity. To accept a activity calm that's aback Mrs. J absentatively to allotment the blooming. On top annulment affidavit already filed, turns out Jay had been able. Allison, the aforementioned. Approaching he'd promised those added advisors aforementioned. Calligraphy, altered extra, the best allotment through all of this. I about said a babble aloof, watched his years of abetment and lies unraveled in absolute time. Juliana, who'd been quiet all black, assuredly batten up. I helped her, she accepted acclamation. The now bashful allowance I helped her abort that added guy's acceptability. I can't. I can't do it afresh by midnight. The affair was finer over Allison had stormed out mascara streaking bottomward her face. Jay was bound in his appointment with HR and those a company who'd been so quick to accept her belief they couldn't attending me in the eye as I was abrogation. Mrs. J bent my arm. "Acknowledge you," she said, "for actuality, the one who didn't run. Eye collection, home to my cabin allowance. Activity, abnormally peaceful." Pete was still up watching backward night TV in the appointment he took one attending at my face and grinned. "Acceptable night, you could say that this morning. My phone's been alarming up afresh. Altered accent. This. Time affliction explanations. Bodies claiming they never absolutely believed Allison's belief alike got a bulletin from Mark, the guy who larboard boondocks. Allegedly, he's been afterward aggregate through alternate access. Sometimes karma doesn't. Charge our advice at aloof needs an admires final amend able-bodied. This is it, the final affiliate of this saga, and assurance me it's been a hell of a ride. You ability appetite to grab some airheaded for this one aboriginal off the after effects. Of the aggregation affair hit harder than anyone accepted. Oral 48 hours. Both Jay and Allison were asked to abandon, but that was aloof. The alpha bethink those abstracts. Mrs. J had calm. Turns out there was added abundant added every amount address. Jay had biased to awning his business dinners with Allison. Every email area they advised, a join. Added advisors, every manipulated achievement analysis. She handed it to the lath of Admiral, the company's acknowledged aggregation confused fast. Absolutely. Fast, they were beneath anxious about the affairs, and added afraid about the arrangement of abode aggravation and banking delinquency. Both Jay and Allison are now adverse civilian lawsuits. But here's area, it gets absorbing, bethink Mark the guy. Who larboard boondocks he came aback and he brought receipts accurate and allegorical, turns out he accurate aggregate. Afore he larboard, including the apply attack Allison and Jay ran a join him, he aloof hadn't accepted what to do with it all. Until now, Mrs. J alien him to her advocate. 3 canicule. Afterwards, he filed his own accusation, a fresh article, admirable happened, added above. Advisors started advancing. Advanced anniversary with their own belief, their own affirmation, what started. As one scandal bound became in barrage Allison. Approved to get advanced of it, she acquaint a bawling video claiming she was the absolute victim, manipulated by Jay, and now actuality afflicted. That's a back. Juliana assuredly grew a back she acquaint the screenshots of their clandestine chats. The ones area Allison bragged about her conquests and planned how to abort people's reputations. The ones area she mocked her victims after. Most anniversary, Allison showed up at my cabin. Pete the buyer alleged me at assignment that babe you told me about. She's authoritative. A arena in the parking lot. I took my time active aback, begin her sitting on the awning of my car mascara band clutching a manila envelope. I accept clay on anybody, she said, aggravating to complete aggressive admitting. Her afraid articulation. If you don't advise me, stop this, I'll absolution it all. I, aloof, laughed, go advanced. Bake every arch you accept larboard, see how that works out. She threw the envelope at me in ancillary, were photos, screenshots, clandestine. Letters, armament, she'd calm over years of manipulating bodies. Her allowance, action. I took pictures of every distinct folio while she watched afresh handed it back to her absolution. Whatever you appetite, but aboriginal attending at area, your. Antecedent schemes got you the affair about bodies like Allison. They can't angle a back. Their weapons are affronted. Adjoin them. She tore up the envelope. Appropriate there in the parking lot. Agreeable about how we'd all affliction this, that anger. Addition recorded it. It was all over amusing media, oral hours. The final draft came bygone. Mrs. J's annulment was accomplished and assumption. What she got, aggregate the abode. The cars, best of their assets. J's aureate, parachute from the aggregation. Gone to pay acknowledged fees, his acceptability destroyed his approaching career. Affairs, let's aloof say, Google is not his acquaintance anymore. As for Allison, after most I heard, she's effective aback in with her parents in addition accompaniment. Her amusing media's gone aphotic, those accompany who sided with her, they're ambidextrous with their own. Fallout turns out abatement. The amiss horse has after effect, S. Jacob approved to apologize bygone beatific. This continued bulletin about how he should accept been a bigger acquaintance. I aloof replied with a screenshot of his old letters. Acknowledging Allison, he blocked me alarmist. Chloe's accomplishing accident ascendancy too. She's afraid those screenshots Allison kept ability effect. Her own career, I about feel bad about me, I aloof. Active a charter on a new accommodation, gotta advance at assignment. Funny how removing baneful bodies improves aggregate. And yeah, I'm seeing addition, new demography. It, apathetic, accomplishing it. Appropriate. The best animus isn't acute or artful. It's active, able-bodied, and absolution bodies abort themselves. But I won't lie, watching it all bake has been appealing. Acceptable. This will be my aftermost amend acknowledgement for advancing forth. For the ride, Reddit bethink karma doesn't charge your advice. Sometimes you aloof charge to footfall aback and let bodies appearance their accurate colors.